nice and close. So first of all, for me, because we're in sand, we really want to have a wide stance. Couple of reasons for that. First of all, really, as we widen our stance, it lowers our center. So if you can imagine in a bunker, we're trying to hit, obviously, the sand here. So having that center much lower is going to increase our likelihood of obviously making good contact with the sand. Second of all, obviously, the sand is really loose. So having a wider stance will help us be a little bit more stable in the swing. And just to help us with that, we can dig our feet in to make sure that we're not sliding or slipping around. The second thing that really I would always look to do is have my ball really far forward in my stance, so much closer to my left foot. And the reason that we want to do that is really so that we're getting shallow, you know, when we're delivering this club into the golf ball, into the sand as such. Quite often I'll see players have the ball back in their stance, or even middle of their stance, or even back in their stance. And really what this is doing is it's just getting that player steeper into the sand. And when we get too steep into the sand, quite often what I would expect to see is too much sand coming out, that ball not really having enough momentum to get up and out the bunker. And quite often I also see players struggle to get that launch on the golf ball. So having that ball further forward in their stance is going to help us to slide that club underneath it, through the sand, and hopefully get that ball coming up nicely out the bunker. To counteract the fact that we've got that ball so far forward and we've moved, like I say, a low point still so far back, what I would also get you to do is apply a little bit of weight into your left side. So I'd almost want to see your knee just beyond your right foot as such, and it might even help just to flare out that, like I say, left foot slightly for the shot as well. Now, I actually like to encourage players to use the loft of the golf club to determine how far the ball is going to go. So I would always say open the club up at least slightly, but if you wanted a ball to go really high and not go very far, I mean, I would have this club wide open. If you wanted the ball to go substantially further, I would maybe play it much squarer. And also you can use different clubs, but as a general rule of thumb, I would have this club slightly open, because what this does is it encourages you to engage the sand with the bounce of the golf club. And that's really important here. When we get steep, or when we drag the handle through and we don't use the bounce of the club, we normally make contact with the sand with this leading edge, and very much this is where we end up taking lots of sand. This is where we don't create enough momentum on the golf ball, and the golf ball might just, like I say, come out slightly. So I would always say open the face up slightly to help us engage the bounce of the golf club. So we've got wide stance, we've dug our feet in, balls forward, weights forward. When we open this club face up, what we're not going to do is we're not going to have our hands back like so. We're not going to grip the club, then open it up. We're going to let this club just open up slightly, and then we'll grip it from there. Now, the actual swing itself is high speed, so don't be afraid to put speed and power into the shot. So for me, I would be encouraging, lots of speed in that swing. Like I say, make sure you're striking the sand here. So I'd want to see the strike a couple inches behind the ball. And for me, one key thing that I always like to encourage my players when they get into the bunkers is let this club head catch up and overtake the hands. So what I mean by that is, when you see me in this position here, by the time I get back to the ball, this club head is caught up my hands, and then as I swing through, it's overtaken my hands. I'm still turning as I do this, but you can see I'm just letting this club catch up and overtake my hands as I turn through the ball. Now, if you struggle with your striking in the bunker, what it'll be really good for you to do is draw 3 lines. One line on where the golf ball is, one line a couple of inches behind that line, and one line a couple of inches in front of that line. And just make some swings, setting up to the middle line, just trying to get that same feeling of releasing that club, of letting that club head catch up and overtake. But whilst you're trying to do that, try and wipe all 3 of those lines away. And it's really good to do this when you're practicing, because you can begin to see exactly where you're striking the turf, whether it's too deep your strike, not the turf, the sand, sorry, or whether you're striking it in the incorrect place. So drawing those 3 lines gives you really good reference of where you're striking. So that one was a little bit too far back, that one was good. And once you've done that, Then set up to the ball and just replicate the same swing that you've tried to do. There, you'll see that ball comes flying out and goes nicely next to the flag. That's probably my golf done for the year now. So set up first, wide stance, weight forward, ball forward, open the club face up, big swing, it's high speed, let this club head catch up and overtake the hands. Control where you're striking the sand as well. That's really, really important. Make sure it's not too far back. Make sure you're not striking ball first. And the best way